Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take a snack of information articles, research, our own notes, and really dig into it to unearth the most compelling insights for you.
That's right.
Today, we're not just diving deep, we're journeying all the way back to ancient Persia and Judah, almost, 2,500 years ago,
Around that time, yeah.
to explore a truly remarkable story. It's about leadership, community, and just the sheer grit it takes to rebuild from the ground up.
It really is an incredible account.
Our focus for this deep dive is the historical account of Nehemiah. He was, well, a pivotal figure, wasn't he? Instrumental in the post-exilic restoration of Jerusalem.
Absolutely key. Post-exile, meaning after the Babylonian captivity.
Exactly. And we've poured over excerpts that lay out his extraordinary journey, the monumental challenges he faced, and the incredible transformation he spearheaded for his people. It's quite something.
The scope is just vast.
So our mission today is to unpack this narrative, not just, as a history lesson, but more like a blueprint.
A blueprint for what, exactly?
For understanding what it truly takes to inspire collective action, to overcome these seemingly insurmountable obstacles, and fundamentally reconstruct a society. And not just physically, but spiritually, too.
Both aspects are deeply intertwined in this story.
Get ready for some surprising facts, maybe a few aha moments, and a deep, revealing look at the anatomy of true resilience and what makes a lasting leader.
Sounds good. There's a lot to unpack.
So what can you expect? Well, we'll trace Nehemiah's personal burden for his people, that initial shock, then the audacious project, rebuilding Jerusalem's walls.
Which was no small feat.
Not at all. And the relentless opposition he faced both from external enemies and, crucially, internal social injustices.
That internal conflict is a really fascinating part of the story.
It is. And finally, the profound reforms that shaped the community into something new, something strong. It's a gripping story of despair turning into determination, and how completing a physical structure catalyzed, really, a spiritual and social revival.
Despair to determination, that sums it up well.
Let's dig in. Okay, let's unpack this. Our story doesn't begin in the rubble of Jerusalem, interestingly enough.
No, it starts somewhere quite different.
Right. It starts in the opulent heart of the Persian Empire, specifically the citadel of Susa during the 20th year of King Artaxerxes' reign.
A seat of immense power.
And our protagonist, Nehemiah, holds a position that might sound, well, almost mundane. He's the king's cupbearer.
But that title is deceiving, isn't it?
Completely. This wasn't just about pouring wine. This role placed him incredibly close to the most powerful man in the known world at that time.
Unbelievable proximity.
It required a level of trust and loyalty that's almost impossible to exaggerate. Imagine his daily duty involved tasting the king's wine before the king.
Putting his life on the line. Every single day.
To protect the monarch from poison, it meant he had the king's ear, his confidence, and often unprecedented access and influence. Picture that kind of daily pressure, that constant awareness of being in the absolute inner circle.
Yet somehow still connected to his roots.
Exactly. Profoundly aware of his origins.
And what's truly fascinating here is that Nehemiah, despite being immersed in such a privileged, comfortable existence, really a life of luxury and influence, he remains deeply connected to his heritage, to his homeland. This visceral connection becomes acutely clear when his brother, Hanani, arrives from Judah.
And the news he brings isn't good.
Not at all. It shatters Nehemiah's peace. The report Hanani brings is stark, painting a picture of profound desolation. It goes far beyond just physical ruin.
What does he say specifically?
He states, "The wall of Jerusalem is broken down, and its gates are burned with fire." But it's not just the physical stuff. The people themselves are described as being in great trouble and disgrace.
Disgrace. That's a strong word.
It is. This isn't merely an inconvenience. It's a public humiliation for the entire community. A gaping wound signifying vulnerability and shame, both to themselves and to outsiders.
It sounds like total societal collapse almost, and spiritual malaise.
Precisely. The news isn't just distressing, it's an announcement of that deep breakdown.
Imagine hearing that. Hearing such dire news about your homeland, your people, while you're living in the lap of luxury, literally at the king's side.
The contrast must have been jarring.
And the source tells us his reaction wasn't, a casual shrug or polite sympathy. It was a profound, deeply personal crisis.
How does he describe it?
He describes his response with this almost visceral depth. He sat down and wept. For some days I mourned and fasted and prayed before the God of heaven.
So not just a fleeting moment of sadness.
No, this was intense, sustained grief, introspection, prayer. It reveals the immense burden he felt.
And the prayer itself, what's the focus?
It's revealing, too. He starts by acknowledging God's covenant, that sacred agreement, blessing for obedience, dispersion for disobedience.
The foundation.
But crucially, he then confesses the sins of his people, and he includes himself, his own family, acknowledging their current state was partly a consequence of collective failings.
Taking responsibility.
Yes. But he doesn't just wallow. Within this confession, he remembers God's promise to gather his people back if they return to him. It's a prayer rooted in history, humility, and this, unwavering, defiant hope.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? How often does real transformative leadership spring from that kind of deep personal empathy, from quiet introspection, rather than just rushing to do something?
That's a great point. His preparation feels critical.
His emotional and spiritual prep shows he grasped the gravity of it all and his reliance on a higher power for guidance. He doesn't react impulsively. He processes, grieves, seeks direction. It sets a powerful precedent.
It shows a leader who gets that sometimes the most important doing starts with quiet, deliberate being.
Exactly.
So after this period of intense prayer and mourning, months maybe,
About 4 months, the text suggests.
right, a window opens, almost like divine providence. It's the month of Nisan, and the king himself notices Nehemiah's sadness, which was unusual for him, apparently.
A huge moment, potentially dangerous too, showing sadness before the king could be risky.
Absolutely. High-stakes conversation. His life could be on the line. But despite the fear he must have felt, Nehemiah bravely admits his sorrow, explains the state of his ancestral city.
The king asks.
The king just asks, "What is it you want?" Simple question, huge implications. And here's where it gets really interesting. Before he even answers the king, the text notes Nehemiah quickly, silently prays to God.
In that split second.
Yeah, a split-second internal plea for guidance, for favor. It shows his constant, almost instinctual reliance on his faith, even under immense pressure.
Amazing presence of mind.
Then, anchored by that prayer, he lays out this audacious request. Not just, "Can I go?" No.
He asks for more.
Much more. He asks to be sent to Judah to rebuild the walls, but he's incredibly strategic. He asks for letters of safe conduct through all the provinces he needs to cross, protection.
Smart. Logistics are key.
And maybe most astonishingly, he requests timber from the king's own royal forest, specifically for the gates, the wall, and even his own house.
Wow. That's bold. He's asking for serious resources.
It wasn't just a plea. It was a full-blown project proposal delivered right there to the most powerful man in the world.
And the king's reaction.
Remarkably, the king grants all his requests, even sends army officers and cavalry with him. Royal endorsement, protection.
An entire logistical support system. Incredible.
It speaks volumes about the trust the king had in him, right? And maybe Nehemiah's incredible prep and persuasion skills.
No doubt. But this immediate success, this royal backing, it must have caused ripples.
Right away.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, Nehemiah's arrival in Jerusalem, backed by the king's authority and resources, it signals a major power shift. And this highlights a critical truth. Any significant change, any rebuilding effort, especially one restoring prominence to a previously subdued group, it will almost inevitably face resistance.
And it does, immediately.
Almost immediately. But see, Sanballat the Horonite, a Samaritan official, and Tobiah the Ammonite official, their displeasure is explicit.
What does the text say?
They're vexed, angered that someone had come to promote the welfare of the Israelites.
Promote their welfare. So it's not just about walls.
No, it's about the potential resurgence of the Jewish community. It's not casual annoyance, it's deep-seated resentment. This sets the stage for so much of the drama to come.
It shows that progress often threatens existing power structures, doesn't it? Or disrupts interests, or just evokes resentment from those benefiting from the status quo.
Absolutely. Positive change for one group can trigger immediate, calculated opposition from others. It's a dynamic we still see today.
So Nehemiah arrives in Jerusalem, armed with the king's authority and resources. But he doesn't just, make a grand announcement right away.
No, his first move is quite different, very strategic.
After 3 days, he gets up in the middle of the night, takes just a few trusted men, and embarks on this secret reconnaissance mission.
Under the cover of darkness.
He tells no one his plan, not even his own officials yet. It's like he's a masterful project manager doing an initial site survey, but clandestine.
wanting to grasp the full, unvarnished truth of the situation first.
Exactly. The scale of the problem, the extent of the damage, before revealing his hand or setting expectations, it shows incredible strategic thinking. Foresight.
And during this secret inspection,
Mm-hmm.
he personally witnesses the sheer magnitude of the destruction. The source describes the walls not just as broken, but broken down,
Hmm.
utterly demolished in places,
And the gates.
burned with fire, completely destroyed. The rubble was apparently so deep and extensive in some sections
Yeah.
that he couldn't even get through on his mount, his donkey or horse.
Wow. That paints a picture.
This meticulous first-hand assessment wasn't just about gathering data. It gave him this undeniable visceral grasp of the challenge. He wasn't relying on second-hand reports. He was seeing it, smelling it, touching the devastation.
Which must have given him huge credibility later.
Exactly. It lends tremendous gravitas when he finally presents his vision. It makes you ponder, doesn't it? How essential is it for a leader to really comprehend the problem, not just intellectually, but experientially, to feel it?
Before trying to rally others.
Yeah,
That deep personal understanding seems foundational to his conviction.
absolutely.
And once he had that full, stark picture, Nehemiah pivots from secret assessment to public revelation and motivation.
He gathers everyone.
Pretty much. The Jewish officials, priests, nobles, ordinary citizens, a real cross-section of the community, and he lays out the grim disgrace of Jerusalem.
But he doesn't just dwell on the negative.
No, crucially, he doesn't just present the problem. He immediately connects it to hope, to divine favor. He strategically shared how the gracious hand of my God was on me to secure the king's help.
Linking the king's support to God's blessing. That's powerful.
Right. Subtly yet powerfully implying this whole project was divinely ordained, that God was on their side. His rallying cry was simple but potent. Let us start rebuilding.
And the people's response.
Immediate, resounding. The people, clearly inspired by his vision, the evidence of God's hand, they declare, let us get up and build. It's this incredible pivotal moment. Collective purpose ignites. Shared burden becomes shared mission.
This reveals Nehemiah's mastery of what you might call, well, distributed micro-ownership. He didn't just command. He painted that vivid picture, shared humiliation, tangible vision for restoration, and linking the king's surprising support directly to divine favor made the daunting task seem not just possible, but providentially blessed.
It tapped into shared identity, spiritual purpose.
Exactly. It's a profound understanding of human motivation. And this approach fosters a deep sense of purpose, of commitment.
And the actual rebuilding plan, it wasn't just him directing everything, was it?
No, remarkably decentralized yet deeply coordinated. Imagine High Priest Eliashib and his fellow priests rebuilding the sheep gate, a sacred task.
Okay.
But then you also have, surprisingly, goldsmiths and even perfume makers dedicating themselves to repairing sections.
Perfume makers, really?
And often sections directly opposite their own homes.
Yeah, so they had a very personal stake in their section.
Precisely. It wasn't just a workforce. It was a deeply personal, community-wide commitment. It transformed this massive communal task into a series of highly personalized commitments.
That's smart. It taps into self-interest for collective gain.
A principle we see echoed today in things like crowdsourced initiatives or agile teams, isn't it?
Absolutely. You've got priests working alongside perfumers, goldsmiths, ordinary citizens. The text even lists specific families and leaders for their sections, showing how broad the participation was.
Sons of Harhiah, leaders like Raphiah, son of Hur, Shallum, son of Hallohesh.
And they worked on all the major gates, right? The Old Gate, Valley Gate, Dung Gate.
Fountain Gate, Water Gate, Horse Gate, East Gate, Inspection Gate.
Yeah.
Yeah, systematic approach covering the whole perimeter.
It's clearly not just a construction project. It feels like a profound act of community cohesion, of reclaiming shared identity. Everyone had a stake.
Everyone contributed their part. It was a truly collective enterprise, transcending social divisions.
And what's fascinating, as you said, is this distributed leadership model. Nehemiah provides the vision, the oversight.
But the actual execution is highly localized, collaborative.
Assigning specific sections to families and guilds, it must have sped things up dramatically.
Absolutely. But more than speed, it fostered that deep, almost familial sense of ownership, personal responsibility.
It's incredibly efficient, leveraging everyone's strengths, ensuring the work gets done with real investment.
It shows that effective leadership isn't always top-down command. Often it's about empowering, organizing others to own their part of the vision.
Building resilience from the ground up, linking individual effort to collective success. Powerful stuff.
So the walls are going up, the community is mobilized. But, as you might expect,
Trouble starts brewing.
exactly, such a grand undertaking, driven by this renewed purpose, it wasn't going to go unopposed. While the internal spirit was high, external opposition quickly mounted and evolved.
Our old friends, Sanballat, Tobiah, and Geshem the Arab.
The very same. They didn't just offer mild disapproval, they responded with outright scorn, contempt.
What kind of things were they saying?
Things designed to be deeply demeaning, mocking the Jewish efforts. What are these feeble Jews doing? Will they restore their wall? Will they offer sacrifices? Will they finish in a day? Can they bring the stones to life from those heaps of rubble burned as they are?
Wow, just dripping with sarcasm and doubt.
And Tobiah delivered that famous cynical quip, sneering, "What they are building, if even a fox climbed up on it, he would break down their wall of stones."
So flimsy, he's saying.
Precisely. This wasn't just casual taunting. It was a concerted psychological warfare campaign designed to discourage, demean, demoralize the builders and their leader.
How did Nehemiah handle that? Did he fire back?
His response is really telling.
Yeah.
A masterclass in leadership under verbal assault, actually. He doesn't get into a shouting match, doesn't lower himself to their level.
So what does he do?
He turns to prayer, directly addresses God, asking him to turn the insult back on their heads, not to cover their guilt, for they have provoked God.
Interesting. He frames their mockery as an insult against God, not just the people.
Yes. And then he emphasizes his unwavering faith, declaring, "Our God will fight for us." It shows his profound understanding that true strength comes from divine backing and moral conviction.
Not just physical might or clever comebacks.
Exactly. He's secure enough in his purpose to transcend the immediate negativity, focus on a higher power.
But the threats didn't stay verbal, did they?
No. As the wall continued to rise, section by section, the gaps visibly closing, the enemies Sanballat, Tobiah, the Arabs, Ammonites, Ashdodites, they grew increasingly enraged.
So they escalated.
They moved beyond ridicule to active threats. They conspired to come and fight against Jerusalem to stir up trouble physically.
That must have terrified the workers.
It did. This escalating danger naturally led to fear, discouragement among the builders. We hear their lament, a cry of exhaustion and despair. The strength of the laborers is failing. There's so much rubbish that we cannot rebuild the wall.
That sounds like a breaking point. The sheer enormity of the task, plus constant threat.
It weighed heavily. Nehemiah's strategy here is crucial. A dual approach.
Right.
Prayer and pragmatic action.
The hand.
They pray to God and they post a guard day and night to counter the physical threat, addressing both the spiritual and practical needs.
And this is where we get that famous image, right? The builders armed.
This is where Nehemiah's innovative solution really comes into play. A powerful blueprint for resilience under duress. He doesn't let the threat halt the work. He adapts the work to the threat.
How specifically?
He strategically places people behind the lowest, most vulnerable parts of the wall, armed and ready. He encourages them not just with words, but with this visceral call to arms. Fight fiercely for your families, your homes, your God. And the vivid image from the source is striking. Those who carried materials did their work with one hand and held a weapon in the other.
One hand for work, one for defense. Incredible.
Even the builders wore swords at their sides while building.
Yeah.
A trumpeter was stationed right with Nehemiah, ready to sound the alert instantly.
Constant vigilance.
And the text notes powerfully that no one took off their clothes, even for sleep. They were in a constant state of readiness.
It's such a powerful illustration, isn't it? Building with one hand, holding a sword with the other. Still so relevant today, where progress often happens amidst ongoing challenges.
Absolutely. This proactive integration of defense into the daily routine didn't just protect the workers. It solidified their resolve. They knew their leader was committed to their safety.
It built trust, deepened that shared purpose.
It raises that important question about leading under duress, true resilience. Nehemiah integrates defense into the work process. He knew they had to be both builders and guardians.
It shows leadership isn't just starting something, but maintaining momentum, adapting, ensuring safety and morale against persistent adversity.
That proactive integration was key, forging deeper trust.
So, okay, external threats are managed, walls are rising. Surely things get easier now.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But not so fast. A new crisis emerges. And this one is, perhaps, far more insidious because it's festering within the community itself.
Internal problems.
Yes, a loud, desperate outcry from the Jewish men and their wives against their fellow Jews.
What was happening?
The reasons were rooted in desperate economic circumstances. There was a famine, compounded by the heavy taxation imposed by the Persian Empire.
So people were struggling just to survive.
Desperately, they were being forced to mortgage their fields, vineyards, houses just to buy grain.
Oh, wow.
Even worse, they'd borrowed money at exorbitant rates, what the text calls usury, to pay the king's tribute, using their precious land as collateral.
Which was forbidden, right? Charging fellow Israelites interest.
Exactly, forbidden by the law of Moses. And the heartbreaking consequence, they reached a point where they had to sell their own sons and daughters into slavery to pay these crushing debts.
Selling their own children.
Yes, powerless to redeem them because their property was already pledged. This is where Nehemiah truly shines as a multifaceted leader, not just a builder or commander, but a champion of social justice. Ethical governance.
How did he react when he heard about this?
His reaction was immediate, visceral. The source says he was very angry. Understandably, he didn't hesitate, didn't engage in polite diplomacy. He directly confronted the nobles and officials, accused them point blank of usury.
Call them out.
Yes, charging exorbitant interest to their own impoverished people. His challenge was direct, morally charged. What you are doing is not right. Shouldn't you walk in the fear of our God to avoid the reproach of our Gentile enemies?
Ah, so he connects their injustice not just to internal suffering, but to their reputation, how their enemies would see them.
Precisely, implying their behavior brought disgrace on their shared faith, their identity, undermining the whole rebuilding effort from within.
So he didn't just express anger. What action did he take?
Immediate, decisive action. He called for a large public assembly, brought everyone together, the exploiters, to address it publicly.
Out in the open.
In this assembly, he demanded the immediate return of their fields, vineyards, olive groves, houses, and crucially, the interest on the money, grain, wine, oil that had been unjustly taken.
That's a huge demand. How did the officials react?
Amazingly, and it's a testament to his moral authority, the officials, confronted so directly, agreed. They agreed to return everything and demand nothing back.
Wow. He made them swear an oath too, didn't he?
He did, made them swear a solemn oath to uphold this promise. But he didn't stop there. He set this powerful, unparalleled personal example.
So?
He pointed out that he, his brothers, his attendants, they hadn't burdened the people by taking what was due to them as governor. He himself didn't eat the food allowance allotted to the
But gave up his own perks.
Yes. Instead, he hosted 150 officials and others daily at his own table, providing food and wine, but didn't demand the governor's allowance because, as he said, the demands on these people were heavy.
He lived out the principles he demanded of others. Incredible integrity.
Setting an incredibly high bar for ethical conduct, generosity, self-sacrifice. It disarmed any potential critics.
Absolutely.
And connecting this to the bigger picture, Nehemiah understood. A strong community isn't just physical walls. It's fundamentally about social integrity, equity.
Right. Internal strife, especially from economic injustice, can be as destructive as any external enemy.
Or more so. His actions show true leadership requires vision, logistics, and that deep commitment to justice. Empathy. Willingness to lead by example, even at personal cost.
He knew a society divided internally couldn't stand strong no matter how high the walls.
This focus on ethical governance was as critical to long-term resilience as the physical rebuilding. He wasn't just building a city, he was rebuilding a moral compass.
Okay, so even as the wall neared completion, that psychological warfare from his enemies, Sanballat and Tobiah, it didn't let up.
No, if anything, it got more desperate. They tried a new tactic.
What was that?
They tried to lure Nehemiah away from Jerusalem, invited him to meet in Ono, a plain, where the text says they clearly plotted to harm him.
A track.
Clearly. But Nehemiah was far too shrewd. He refused. Not once, but 4 times.
4 times. Persistent.
And his message back was unwavering. I am carrying on a great project and cannot go down. Why should the work stop while I leave it and come down to you?
Wow. Laser focus. He saw right through them, refused to be distracted.
His resolve is just incredible. He understood their intentions, kept his eye on the prize.
So when the direct approach failed, what did Sanballat do?
He escalated again, sent Nehemiah an unsealed letter.
Unsealed. Why?
So everyone could read it. It was designed to spread rumors, undermine his authority. The letter accused Nehemiah of planning a rebellion, aspiring to be king, slander, pure slander, claiming false prophets were proclaiming this, threatening to report it to King Artaxerxes, designed to create fear, so disunity forced Nehemiah's hand.
How did Nehemiah respond to that?
Simply saw through the lies, stated it was a fabrication. Then another layer. A false prophet, Shemaiah, tried to trick him. How? tried to get Nehemiah to hide inside the temple for safety, claiming assassins were coming.
Why was that a trap?
Cunning. It would signal cowardice, obviously. But worse, it would have violated sacred law. Nehemiah, not being a priest, was forbidden from entering that inner sanctum.
Ah, so it would defile the temple and undermine his moral authority.
Exactly. Nehemiah, with sharp discernment, recognized it as a scheme by Tobiah and Sanballat. They'd hired Shemaiah to make him afraid, to make him sin, compromise his integrity.
The psychological warfare is intense. Fear, slander, moral compromise, they tried everything.
They couldn't stop him physically or politically, so they aimed for his character, his resolve.
But his unshakable focus on the great project was like an impenetrable shield.
It proved to be, and his determination paid off spectacularly. The source tells us the wall was completed
In how long?
in astonishing 52 days, on the 25th of Elul.
52 days. That's unbelievable speed.
Incredible, accomplished despite relentless opposition, constant threat, and this feat had a profound impact.
On his enemies.
Yes. When they heard, they were demoralized and lost their self-confidence, recognizing that this work had been done with the help of our God.
Even they had to admit divine intervention.
It seems so. The speed and success were undeniable. However, the threats didn't vanish entirely. Even after completion, some nobles within Judah kept up correspondence with Tobiah.
An internal fifth column, still.
Yes, a subtle reminder that vigilance is a continuous requirement, even after victory.
So the wall is finished. What's next? Securing the city.
Exactly. Nehemiah immediately turns to arrangements for the city's future security and function. Gates are set up. Gatekeepers, singers, Levites. Those for temple service are appointed, overseeing sacred and civil functions.
And guards?
Guard duty was meticulously assigned. Inhabitants took posts, each assigned to a specific area in front of his own house.
Ah, that personal responsibility again. Distributed ownership.
Right. But the city itself was still in a strange state, described as large and spacious, but there were few people in it and the houses had not yet been rebuilt.
So an empty shell almost, despite the new walls.
Which sets the stage for the next phase, consolidation. Nehemiah also meticulously sought out the book of the genealogy, the record of those who returned first from exile.
Why was that so important?
It included precise details, not just numbers, tens and thousands of exiles, thousands of servants, singers, but even counts of their animals. Hundreds of horses, mules, camels, thousands of donkeys. Significant gold and silver contributions, too.
It sounds like more than just record keeping. What was the deeper purpose?
It emphasizes identity, lineage, historical continuity. It demonstrates who legitimately belonged, who had a stake in the newly rebuilt Jerusalem.
So defining the community.
Exactly. That's not just about physical walls. It's rebuilding a sense of who they are as a people, reconnecting them to their past, ensuring the purity and integrity of their tribal and religious identity for the future.
That genealogical integrity was vital for their self-definition, reestablishing societal structure.
Laying the groundwork for a cohesive society, not just a collection of individuals in a walled space.
Okay, physical structure complete, security planned, identity affirmed. What about the spiritual side?
Nehemiah understood true rebuilding was holistic, so he shifted focus to the spiritual and social foundations. A momentous event occurred on the first day of the 7th month.
What happened?
All the people gathered as one, in the square before the Watergate, a moment of profound national education, spiritual recommitment.
And Ezra was there?
Ezra the scribe, yes. A pivotal spiritual leader. He was brought forward with the Torah, the book of the law of Moses, their guiding principles, divine instructions, the bedrock of their identity.
Imagine that scene, the whole community standing for hours.
From early morning till midday, listening attentively as Ezra read the law. Men, women, everyone who could understand.
And they understood it.
The Levites helped. They stood among the people, explaining the meaning, making it clear, accessible. A community hungry for knowledge, spiritual grounding.
What was the immediate reaction to hearing the law again?
They reaped deep contrition, repentance, a profound understanding of their past failures and living by these principles.
But they weren't supposed to weep.
Interestingly, no. Nehemiah, Ezra, the Levites quickly intervened, instructed them not to mourn or weep, because the day was holy, meant for celebration.
Celebration. After realizing their failings.
Yes, they commanded them. Go and enjoy choice food and sweet drinks, and send some to those who have nothing prepared. Do not grieve, for the joy of the Lord is your strength.
The joy of the Lord is your strength. That's a powerful statement.
It's fascinating, an immediate transition from repentance to mandated celebration. Understanding the law leads not to despair, but to this profound joy of the Lord, presented as their strength, their endurance.
It highlights the transformative power of shared knowledge, spiritual renewal, reframing the law as strength, unity, blessing, not just rules.
Precisely.
And this spiritual reawakening led to something else, didn't it? The Festival of Booths.
Yes, on the very next day of reading the law, they discover the instructions for Sukkot, the festival of booths, commemorating their journey through the wilderness.
And they acted on it immediately.
Immediately. Didn't just note it down. People went out, brought branches, made temporary shelters, booths, each family making their own, embracing this symbol of their journey.
And the source says this celebration was special.
Astonishingly so. It says, from the days of Joshua, son of Nun, until that day, the Israelites had not celebrated it like this.
Wow. Since Joshua, that's centuries.
An unprecedented, deeply heartfelt celebration. A time of great joy, underscoring their renewed commitment to the law, their shared history. And Ezra kept reading the law every day of the seven-day festival, reinforcing, embedding these truths.
So reading the law, celebrating, what came next?
The spiritual renewal continued, culminating in a profound act of covenant renewal. On the 24th day of the same month, they assembled again.
Another gathering.
But this time, solemn, fasting, wearing sackcloth dust on their heads. They also deliberately separated themselves from all foreigners,
Why the separation?
symbolizing their renewed commitment to their unique covenant identity. A recognition that their distinctness as God's people was paramount. This assembly was dedicated to confession their own sins, the collective iniquities of their ancestors.
A deep look at their history.
Yes, a lengthy, powerful prayer led by the Levites recounted God's faithfulness throughout their history. Deliverance from Egypt, manna, water from the rock, the pillar of cloud fire giving the land.
All contrasted with
Israel's repeated rebellion, disobedience, rejection of prophets over centuries. The prayer also acknowledged their current subjugation servants in their own land, produced going to foreign kings, a harsh reality despite the rebuilt walls.
And the outcome of all this?
The combination was sealing a new covenant. Leaders, Levites, priests put their names on a solemn, binding agreement to follow God's law, a collective recommitment to their foundational principles and way of life. #HamBeefy, reorganizing and reforming the community.
So this covenant wasn't just a vague spiritual promise, was it?
Not at all. It was meticulously detailed, a plan for how they were going to live as a reformed community, covering everything from economics to religious duties, a total societal reset.
Designed to establish, reinforce their unique identity. What were some specifics?
Well, the core was a solemn vow to follow God's law given through Moses, but then specific applications, like promising not to give our daughters in marriage to the peoples around us or take their daughters for our sons.
Addressing intermarriage directly to prevent assimilation, protect their distinct identity.
Which had been easily eroded during exile, yeah. They also agreed to strict Sabbath observance, committing not to buy anything from the peoples around us on the Sabbath day or on any holy day.
Upholding a core tenet, even if it meant economic inconvenience.
Right. And they pledged to let the land rest in the seventh year and cancel all debts, showing commitment to economic justice, compassionate principles from the law.
What about support for the temple? That was key too, right?
Absolutely central and detailed. An annual temple taxed 1/3 of a shekel for its service, bringing wood by lot for the burnt offerings, faithfully providing first fruits of fields, trees, firstborn sons, animals.
And the tithes.
Crucially, they committed to bringing 1/10 of their produce grain, new wine, oil to the Levites. And the Levites, in turn, were to bring 1/10 of their tithe to the temple storehouses.
Ensuring a consistent, sustainable support system for those serving the temple.
Exactly. A robust system.
Yeah.
And this comprehensive set of commitments concluded with that powerful final vow: we will not neglect the house of our God.
A statement of unwavering dedication to their spiritual center.
Absolutely.
So walls built, covenant sealed, but the city was still largely empty, you mentioned.
Yes. Large and spacious, but few people in it, houses not yet rebuilt. That was the next challenge, making Jerusalem a thriving, populated city again.
How did they tackle that?
A unique, almost audacious initiative. 1 out of every 10 people from the outlying towns was chosen by lot to live in Jerusalem, the holy city.
By lot, like a draft.
Essentially, yes. While the others remained in their towns, this was a significant sacrifice for many moving into a still developing city, leaving established livelihoods.
But some volunteered.
What's interesting is, yes, some people voluntarily offered to live in Jerusalem, and the people blessed them for their willingness, their civic spirit.
And again, detailed records were kept.
Yes, the text provides lists of prominent families, priests, Levites, gatekeepers, temple servants who settled in Jerusalem and other towns, showcasing the meticulous organization, the importance of reestablishing proper civic and religious infrastructure.
So the city starts getting populated, secured. Then came the dedication of the wall itself.
Yes, a truly grand and joyous ceremony. Levites brought from all over for the dedication. Joyful songs, thanksgiving, cymbals, harps, lyres.
How is it organized?
With remarkable symbolism, two large Thanksgiving choirs were formed. One went clockwise along the newly completed wall, led by Ezra.
Okay.
The other proceeded counterclockwise, led by Nehemiah himself.
Both leaders, leading processions on the wall they built.
Exactly. They marched along the wall, passing specific gates: Valley Gate, Dung Gate, Fountain Gate, Water Gate, Horse Gate, Inspection Gate, Sheep Gate, until they met in the temple area.
That synchronized procession, it's such a powerful visual. Unity, perseverance, collectively reclaiming and dedicating it.
Absolutely. They offered large sacrifices, rejoiced greatly, because God had given them great joy. The text even notes their rejoicing was heard far away.
Emphasizing the magnitude, the impact. A moment of collective triumph, emotional release after so much struggle.
It wasn't just a dedication. It was a profound act of collective gratitude, reclaiming identity and security. And on that same day, people were appointed over the storerooms for contributions, first fruits, tithes,
Ensuring continued support for the temple services.
sustaining the spiritual and religious life for the long term, demonstrating commitment beyond just the initial build.
Now here's where the story takes another turn. It highlights that leadership, reform, it's ongoing, requires vigilance.
Yes, Nehemiah didn't just stay there forever initially.
He returned to King Artaxerxes as required, but later requested permission to return to Jerusalem again. This implies a gap, right?
A significant gap, it seems. A period where some hard-won reforms had lapsed. The community started drifting from their commitments.
So when Nehemiah got back, things weren't quite right.
He immediately saw issues festering that needed his forceful, decisive intervention again. It shows even monumental change needs constant tending.
What was one of the first things he found?
One of the most shocking: abuse and defilement of the sacred temple space itself. Eliashib, the priest, the one in charge of the storerooms, supposed to uphold its sanctity,
Yeah.
had astonishingly allied himself with Tobiah,
Yeah.
that persistent adversary.
No, not Tobiah again?
Yes, and worse, Eliashib had provided Tobiah a large room right within the temple courts for his personal use.
Inside the temple, that's outrageous. A direct affront, a betrayal from within.
Exactly. Nehemiah's response was swift, uncompromising, dramatic.
What did he do?
He didn't just clean house. He literally threw all of Tobiah's household goods out of the room.
Physically threw them out. Wow.
Then thoroughly cleansed the room, restored it to its rightful purpose: temple articles, grain offerings, incense. A clear public statement. Nothing, not even corrupt priests or powerful enemies, would stand in the way of the temple's sanctity, reinforcing core values.
What other problems did he find?
A critical breakdown in the financial support for the Levites. The portions due to them and the singers, part of the covenant, essential for their livelihood and service, had simply not been given.
So they weren't getting paid, basically.
Widespread neglect. It forced the Levites and singers to abandon their duties in the temple and return to their fields just to survive.
Undermining the whole system they'd set up.
Completely. Nehemiah immediately confronted the officials, rebuked them sharply for neglecting God's house. He gathered the people, ensured they once again brought their tithes, and crucially,
Yes.
to prevent future neglect, ensure accountability, he appointed trustworthy treasurers over the storerooms, ensuring a robust system for collection and distribution was back in place.
Relentless pursuit of order, accountability, even after initial success. Vision needs consistent administration.
Exactly.
Another key reform he had to reinforce was Sabbath observance, wasn't it?
Deeply tied to their identity, yes. He observed people blatantly profaning the Sabbath, treading wine presses, bringing in grain, loading donkeys with produce, wine, grapes, figs right on the holy day.
Business as usual.
Even Tyrians, foreign merchants, were bringing fish and merchandise to sell in Jerusalem on the Sabbath. Widespread violation of the covenant they just made, undermining spiritual discipline.
How did he handle that?
His warning was stern, historically grounded. He rebuked the nobles, reminding them this very behavior led to God bringing disaster on Jerusalem before, connecting current actions to past consequences.
And he took action.
Strict, direct measures. ordered the gates shut before Sabbath began, not open until after, stationed his own servants at the gates to prevent goods entering.
Wow, used his own staff.
And when merchants camped outside hoping to sell goods the moment Sabbath ended, he sternly warned them not to do it again, stating he would physically intervene, lay hands on them, shows his absolute commitment, no matter the economic pushback or inconvenience.
And finally, perhaps the most contentious reform, intermarriage.
Contentious, yet for Nehemiah, absolutely essential. He discovered Jews who had married women from foreign groups, Ashdod, Ammon, Moab, directly violating the covenant and the law.
And the consequences were already visible.
Vividly apparent within a single generation. Their children spoke the language of Ashdod or other foreign tongues, not the language of Judah.
A direct loss of cultural, linguistic, religious identity.
Exactly. Nehemiah's reaction was fierce. Uncompromising, he rebuked them, cursed some men,
Cursed them.
and in a startling display of his outrage, his desperation to preserve their heritage, he even struck some and pulled out their hair.
Physical confrontation. That's intense.
It shows the depth of his conviction on this point. He then made them swear a solemn oath by God not to intermarry. He even drove out a son of Joiada, the high priest's son, because he had married a daughter of Sanballat the Horonite.
Expelled the high priest's son-in-law.
Yes, demonstrating no one, regardless of status or connection, was above the law or exempt from consequences that threaten the community's core identity.
If we connect that to the bigger picture, he saw assimilation as this profound existential threat, right? Especially after exile had blurred boundaries.
Absolutely. This reform, though appearing harsh to us now, was seen as essential for preserving their unique covenant identity, preventing a complete loss of heritage, their very purpose.
And he ends his account with these personal prayers.
Yes, deeply personal prayers, asking God to remember me for this, O my God, and do not blot out my loyal deeds, and to remember them, O my God, because they defiled the priesthood. He meticulously purified the priests and Levites again, reassigned duties for wood and firstfruits.
Ensuring ongoing spiritual health, order, understanding that true rebuilding is a ceaseless endeavor.
It never really ends.
Yeah.
Hashtag outro.
So what does this all mean? We've traced Nehemiah's extraordinary journey, from a man burdened by devastating news to the dynamic leader who not only rebuilt formidable physical walls in an astonishing 52 days, but also spearheaded these profound social and spiritual reforms, reshaping an entire society.
It's an incredible arc.
His story is such a powerful testament, isn't it, to the impact of focused, deeply committed leadership, incredible community collaboration, and just unwavering faith against immense, multifaceted adversity.
Truly remarkable resilience on display.
For you, the learner, listening to this, what stands out most from this deep dive into Nehemiah's world?
Yeah, what resonates? Perhaps it's the sheer audacity of his initial request to the king, courage under pressure. Or maybe the intricate logistics of mobilizing a whole community to rebuild so quickly.
Could be the dual challenge, external enemies using psychological warfare, internal corruption threatening to unravel everything.
And Nehemiah's resolute response to both. It's that powerful blend, isn't it? Pragmatic leadership with deep spiritual conviction.
And how completing a physical structure was so intricately intertwined with profound cultural, religious renewal.
His story really underscores that true societal rebuilding has to be holistic, addressing both material decay and moral erosion. You can't just fix one without the other.
That's so true. The story of Nehemiah isn't just about ancient bricks and mortar or dusty scrolls. It feels timeless.
It really does.
It's a narrative about rebuilding collective identity, the almost miraculous power of a shared vision, and the continuous effort needed to maintain integrity, purpose within any community.
That continuous effort part is key.
It raises an important question for us today, doesn't it? What walls in our own communities, maybe even in our personal lives, are currently broken down or in disrepair?
Where are the gaps?
And what kind of audacious leadership, both personal leadership and communal effort, is required to face those challenges, roll up our sleeves, and truly complete the work, no matter the opposition?
What does it take to rebuild, truly rebuild today?
Something profound to chew on as you go about your day.